before the parchment of history was written by conquerors, before the ink of colonial empires dried on the maps, there were whispers across the waters, echoes in stone, songs in the soil, and ships not carved from conquest, but crafted with knowledge, guided by the stars, carrying people whose names the wind still remembers. This is the story not found in your textbooks. It is the breath between the pages, the rhythm beneath the rivers, the legacy of Africans who crossed oceans not as captives, but as explorers, traders, builders, and dreamers. Let us journey back to a time before Columbus, to a presence long denied but never erased. Africa, mother of humanity, cradle of civilization, was no stranger to the sea. Along the banks of the Nile and the shores of Senegal, people built vessels not merely to fish, but to voyage. The ancient Egyptians, shipwrights of genius, sailed as early as 3000 BCE. They hugged coastlines, crossed the Red Sea, traded as far as India. And from the west, from the mighty kingdom of Mali, a land of scholars, astronomers, and unimaginable wealth, came one of the greatest, most overlooked navigators in world history, Abubakari II. He was the older brother and predecessor of the famed Mansa Musa, the emperor who dazzled Cairo with gold and generosity on his pilgrimage to Mecca. But before Musa, there was Abubakari, a ruler who gazed not eastward, but west toward the endless horizon of the Atlantic. In the year 1311, he did the unthinkable. He abdicated his throne, entrusted the empire to Musa, and launched a massive expedition, 2,000 ships, into the unknown. Arabic historian Al-Umari recorded this tale, though many in the West dismissed it. But what if that fleet reached the Americas long before Columbus ever begged for ships? In the jungles of ancient Mexico, colossal heads rise from the earth, sculpted from volcanic rock, some weighing over 20 tons. They belong to the Olmec civilization, older than the Maya, and considered the mother culture of Mesoamerica. And on those stone faces, broad noses, full lips, features that echo the mother continent. Coincidence, they said, but stone does not lie. These were not stylized masks. They were portraits. Scholar Ivan van Sertima, in his book They Came Before Columbus, argued that these were African faces, evidence of contact, of presence, of shared breath across oceans. He was mocked by some, celebrated by others. But still, those stone eyes stare, waiting for truth to rise again. What if the soil itself remembers? In the ruins of ancient Peru, cotton was found, genetically identical to strains from West Africa. Yams, gourds, they too had crossed the Atlantic, not in colonial ships, but perhaps in the hands of African cultivators. Carbon-dated artifacts in Mexico reveal knowledge of African metallurgy. Pottery whispers in West African rhythms. Even the languages of the Olmecs and Mayans contain echoes of African tongues. The earth speaks, and if we listen closely, she tells us they were here. Indigenous memory runs deeper than written record. Among the Hopi, the Toltec, and the Maya, stories live of black-skinned visitors from the East. They came not with swords, but with songs, not with chains, but with gifts. Across the ocean, in Mali, the Dogon people speak of star maps and journeys west. Their oral traditions align with cosmic precision, tales of crossing waters, of lands beyond the horizon. In Moorish Spain and Islamic Mali, maps were drawn. Maps that showed the Americas before Columbus ever set sail. Maps that name rivers, coastlines, and lands unknown to Europe. So where did that knowledge come from? What if Columbus didn't discover, but followed? History is often written in ink, but truth is written in blood, in bone, in breath. And though the world tried to forget, the ancestors remember. This story, the story of Africans in the Americas before conquest, before slavery, before the lies, is not fantasy. It is reclamation. A reclamation of memory, of dignity, of presence. Columbus may have opened the door for Europe's invasion, but Africans were already guests at the table. Builders, navigators, cultivators, kin. So the next time someone says we were only slaves brought in chain, tell them the ocean remembers, the land remembers, and now so do we.